how did you start out? Did you start out like a Bible study? Did you start out meeting in a place? What's the story there?
Yeah, so we moved, like I said, in January of 2020. Um, and obviously we didn't know the world was going to be turned upside down a couple months later. So the intention was I was sent out by my home church. I was just going to get a job, start a home Bible study, and just start, seeing where God would take it. And so that's what we set out to do. And then COVID hit. So we delayed the home Bible study until September of 2020. So we we did meet in a home for about a year and 3 months. September, October, November, a year and 4 months before we actually started Sunday services. So we met in September of 2020 all the way till Christmas Eve of 21. And we launched we launched on Christmas Eve of 21. And so we've been meeting on Sundays for a little over a year now.
You guys meet in a coffee shop, right?
Yeah. We meet in a coffee shop. Really cool story how that happened. Our first day moving to Murfreesboro, the kids had never been there. So my wife and I, we drive all the way from Southern California to Murfreesboro, Tennessee. And we go into this coffee shop that we were excited to try out because we had been following them on social media. My wife and I both love coffee and not terrible coffee. And Murfreesboro didn't have any like third wave shops or anything like that. And so as we got to Tennessee, we started following this coffee shop. We met the owner the very first day, and he was like, "Oh, what brings you out here from California?" And I said, "Well, we're here to seek the Lord and plant a church." And right there on the spot, he offered for us to meet in his location, and I was like, or his shop. I was like,
Dang.
we're not even there yet. We don't even have a house. We moved with no house and no job. So it's like,
Can we live
I need to
here
get
too?
a job. Yeah. It's like, I need a job. I need to find a place to live first.
Can I work here?
Yeah. So just creating relationships with him and the rest of the people that work there. And a year and a half later, we're meeting in his shop. So
Dang,
pretty cool.
that's cool. What's bad coffee though? Are you
Bad
talking about
coffee?
Starbucks? Are you talking about Starbucks?
Yes.
Okay.
100%
All right.
I am.
Jeff,
Or Pete's
let
Coffee or the Bean or
whoa,
any
Whoa.
or Dutch Brothers.
whoa. Like 50 to 60% of our listeners just tuned out. What about Dunkin'?
I'm sorry.
Do you have Dunkin'?
Yeah, Dunkin's big out here, but I've never had their coffee, so I can't judge.
You won't even try it. It's like, no.
Okay. And listen, I'm not pretentious. I don't think I make coffee at
No,
home.
you're not. You're not.
No.
Shut up, guys.
Well, I have to say though, Brass Horn Coffee Shop, we'll give them a shout out because they do have wonderful coffee. The owner's a wonderful Christian, and they have been so gracious. So
yeah.
Murfreesboro, Tennessee.
Is that the one that they're meeting at? Brasshorn? Is that the name of it, Kyle?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. Jeff, how do you fit into this picture? Like, what's your relationship here to this church plant and with Kyle and everything?
Well, as Kyle had mentioned, he was sent out by Reliance Church, Ted Leavenworth, and he is part of the CGN team. And when we were starting up the Cultivate Church Planting Network, we were doing some trial runs, and Kyle was suggested to me that we meet with him and maybe do a trial run with Kyle,
like a guinea
pig. And that's how we met. And I have to say, I think the first time we met, we just hit it off really well, and God just kind of took over from there. It was really cool.
Nice. And how far away are you, Jeff? Do you live from where Kyle is?
As a crow flies, about 30 miles, but
that's what we say here in the South. That's what we say.
Yeah, I know that one. Yep. That's cool.
Yeah.
I knew the Reader Digest one too. I was just messing with you.
Sure.
But it takes about an hour to drive there.
Okay. So close. You're pretty close.
Yeah, very close.
Good. And you've been able to kind of see this from the inception all the way up to where it is today.
Yeah. So that was being that he was one of our guinea pigs, as we've discussed. It was really fun to go through the process with him, and challenging. We learned a lot. And I'm very thankful that I was able to be one of the early coaches through this, because I have seen God work through the Cultivate program in just a wonderful way. And one of the things I told Kyle from the very beginning is that I will not sit on your board. This is me coaching you and mentoring you more than that. But I am now sitting on his board. But anyway, because I just love what God has done through the church, and it's really been a blast.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's awesome. Kyle, okay, getting into the plant, you got the location, because that's the big, like when you're going to plant a church, you're fresh in this, and we're actually pretty new here at our church as well. So it's fresh kind of in my mind, but there are certain things that you question as you're going into it. And one of the big ones is, where are we going to meet? When are we going to meet on Sunday morning? Cause that seems like the right, churchy thing to do. And also how are we going to get the finances for it? But you got that first one already covered. You got a place to meet.
Yeah.
It's literally an open door. Like, hey, come and meet in our coffee shop.
So the coffee shop is an it's older building. And so it was just not even a big, but it was like a warehouse kind of space. So the coffee shop had built out their side, but then there was storage rooms in the back that were just kind of decrepit and old. And so I worked out a deal with the owner. I said, hey, we'll rehab those rooms to make them habitable for our children's ministry in exchange for being able to meet at your place. And so we met for 6 months at the coffee shop. In exchange, we built out those rooms, and so he's going to use those rooms eventually to for meeting spaces, conference rooms, that kind of stuff. So it's really worked out great for him. Didn't cost him anything, and it only cost us a couple grand for 6 months worth of meeting space.
Dang.
So yeah.
So does he charge you at all to meet there?
Yeah. So now we have we pay $150 a week, and that includes the coffee, not espresso, but that includes the coffee, the cups, the creamer, everything. So it's,
Dang.
I mean,
that's
it's
how
a
much that
blessing.
expensive coffee costs anyway, just
Yes.
apart from the building and everything.
And
Yeah,
it's one
it's
of my
been-
favorite churches to visit, because not only is the coffee good, they've got a young woman in their fellowship that can bake like no other person.
This is
You got
true.
It's
you got
awesome.
the baked goods and the coffee.
Oh yeah, it's
That's
awesome.
good. So that's, man, some guys, maybe we shouldn't have had you on the show, Kyle, because you got that's pretty abnormal. Wouldn't you say, Jeff, in your experience with church planting and in mine at least, to have that kind of a head start, I would say, on getting a place to meet at that price. How many people can it seat, Kyle?
Well, I would say it can seat up to like 70 adults in the sanctuary. And we've been at capacity the last several weeks. So now
Dang.
we're thinking about adding a second service.
Wow.
So maybe 65, but somewhere in that range.